Hi, good morning. I'm Linda with Pinky Mouse Sisters in the Kitchen. I hope that I've got this camera situated to where y'all can see what I'm doing. Mary just got off from showing her fall bazaar over there at her church. So we're trying to show as many things as we can. So for those of you who don't know, we're doing some videos by ourselves over the next few weeks. So today what I'm doing, actually a couple of things, but the main part of this video is going to be just showing you how to dress up some of your pies for the Thanksgiving and Christmas. So you've seen all these fancy little pies, and thank you all for joining me. Mary and I appreciate it so much for each time that you watch us, follow us, comment, give stars, whatever you're doing. We appreciate it so much. So I don't like, when you make a sweet potato pie or a pumpkin pie, now, everybody has their own likes and dislikes. So, I prefer to have something kind of dressed up on them. So it's real easy to do. You don't even have to have a lot of different tools. I'm using cookie cutters. And if you're good at freehanding, you can freehand and cut things out yourself. But to me, it's just easier. I'm not an artist, so it's easier for me to use cutters. I have made my own patterns, and I'm going to show you one of those in a little while. But for the most part, I use cutters. And the cutters that I like the best, and this is not any of these. These are from Hobby Lobby. These are leaves. I like Susan Clark's cutters. They're made in the USA. They're stainless steel. And if you know anything about cookie cutters, number one, if they're not stainless steel and they're not dried properly, they're going to rust. And I don't know if you've ever had to throw cookie cutters away that were bad because they rusted, but that's why they rusted, if they were not dry completely. So what I do, and Mike has learned over the years, you don't put up anything right away that I've dried. It has to stay out and air dry, make sure that there's no moisture on it before I store it. So I wash it and dry it, and then I let it set out on a baking sheet or something to make sure that it is completely dry. So these are just cheap cutters here. Like I said, I got them at Hobby Lobby for 50% off. But I do have some that aren't cheap. I just don't think I have any of those out. Maybe I do. Maybe I do have some. I'll show you. I think one of those over there is Susan Clark. Always like to buy made in the USA when I have a choice. And you don't always have a choice, but I prefer to buy something made in the USA. So first of all, before we get started, you'll see I've got some pie scraps cut out here. And I used the Pillsbury pie crust, and we are not sponsored by them, but I do like this product, and I do like to use it, and I keep several on hand because you never know when you're going to need to cook a pie real quick, and you don't have time to make pie crust and let it sit in the refrigerator and chill. So I keep these on hand for those. I smell my pies in the oven. What I did this morning, just a few minutes ago, I used the mincemeat. Y'all heard us talk about this the other day, and this is from Walmart. It's not a quart jar. It's 27 ounces, and it tells you in the ingredients on the back, and it looks something like a raisin pie. I didn't want to show y'all how to do that because you're basically just taking it out of the jar. And Mary made a raisin pie the other day, so I wasn't trying to, compete with that by any means. But what I did extra is I cut up one apple, and it was a small apple. I peeled, cored, and cut up. This is cosmic apples. They're real crisp, and I like a crisp, firm apple. Now, if you like delicious apples, you'll want to get a red apple, and they're a lot softer. But I like the crisp. So I cored it, peeled it, and then I used the mandolin, the Rapid Prep mandolin, to cut it because I wanted it in little tiny pieces. I put 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/8 a teaspoon of cinnamon plus, 1 tablespoon of imperial granulated sugar and 2.5 tablespoons of water. And I just cooked it on low on the stove until the moisture got out of it. I added that to this jar of mincemeat, and it made 6 of the mini pies in this pan. It made 6 of those. So if you have this pan, or if you have, you can use the little throwaway pie tins that you can get, and I bought mine from Amazon. Most of the ones that I've seen in the store are deep, and they're more like for a pot pie than they are for a mini pie, but you can order the shallow ones from Amazon if you don't have these pans here. Of course, you could always use a muffin pan. I don't recommend using the jumbo muffin pans because, again, they're too deep for a small pie. So that's what I did, and I've got those baking in the oven. I'm hoping they're going to be done so we can do the tops to them and do the fancy part. So this is the scraps that was left over from this, from the pie. And so what I'm going to do, I've got several. This is a leaf that we used the other day. This is another leaf. These are all different kinds of leaves. And then I've got big leaves, a big maple leaf, and a big, I'm not sure what kind of leaf that is. And then there's a medium maple leaf. So I've got all different kinds of leaves, and I've got the pumpkins. Now, I'm not going to do the pumpkins because the pies that I'm cooking later on today are going to be sweet potato. Y'all saw me make those on live at another time. So I don't want to put pumpkin, I don't want to put a pumpkin decoration on a sweet potato crust because it's not pumpkin. But I did want to show you these. And then these are the bigger leaves here. So what I would do for the small pies, you can do a lattice, and I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. But I'm going to use the small leaves for what we're doing on the mini pies today. But I'm also going to do one that's not small, and I'm going to be using one of the snowflake cutters, and this is just a plastic cutter. I've got some little flower cutters here. And one thing over the years that I've learned, when you're looking for a specific cutter in a pinch and you don't have time to order it from Amazon, go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's and look in their baking section. If they don't have what you want, go back to the, in our Hobby Lobby, it's kind of toward the back, to where they have modeling clay and things like there's little tiny sets of cutouts there. I've got several of them. You can get crosses, you can get the moon, the stars, there's just a lot of different shapes, heart shapes. You can get a lot of shapes back there that you're not going to find in the baking section. And I just wipe them off and use them to cut them. You can also use the little leaves here. And this is a press. It's got a little thing on the back, but you don't have to have this fancy stuff. But I'm just showing you some different options. This has got the impression in it, the leaf veins in it. So what you do is when you cut it, you push it and it pops it out, and then it's got those impressions on it. Now, if you don't have one of these, and these are not expensive, I think they even have these at Walmart now. You can use another tool to make different kinds of little impressions in the leaf. And again, you can do this with a toothpick. It just so happens that I have these tools, and I'm going to have to turn that air conditioner on in that utility room. I hope it don't make too much noise, but it is getting hot in here, and I'm not going to wait till I get too hot. So give me just a second. Let me turn it on. I usually do that before my pies are smelling good. I usually do that before I start, and for some reason I forgot to do it. So I'm going to cut one of these out, and like I said, I saved my scraps. So I'm going to show you. I hope that you can see this and the butter's not in the way. Let me move it. So you just push down on it, put it down on your dough, push down on it, and then it pops right out. And you can see that it's got the little imprint on it. I hope you can. Anyway, so you can do them like that, or you can just cut out your leaves with this. And you do want a whole bunch of them, and I usually cut a whole bunch of one kind, and then I cut a bunch of another, and then I'll do the decoration, do the little lines on them. I don't like re-rolling dough, and that might sound like it's a waste, because I do not like wasting stuff. But the more you roll dough, the tougher it's going to get. And if there's one thing that that you will know, if you get a biscuit in a drive-through and it's tough and it's not tender, and I don't even know if they still make biscuits or not. They're probably all shipped in frozen, but there may be some places that do. If you get a biscuit that's tough, that dough has been rolled several times, and that's one reason when I started making fried pies, I decided that I was not going to re-roll dough, because it does make them tough. So keep that in mind when you're saving all these little scraps. I usually, and I'm not going to lie to you, I used to throw them away. I do not re-roll scraps. So I guess it would depend on how bad you needed another leaf or something if you wanted to re-roll them, but I don't. So I'm going to do some of the maple leaves, and I'll roll out another pie crust in a minute. I noticed the other day that somebody in the comments said that every time they do one of these pie crusts, they roll it out, it tears up. Well, for one thing, your pie crust has got to be thawed out. And it's not only got to be thawed out, it's got to be at room temperature. So don't take a cold pie crust like this out of the refrigerator and unroll it. It will tear up. So you need to let it set out at room temperature. And I'll tell you something else too. And I don't advise you to do this, but I have microwaved them just a pinch, just to get them a little bit soft. But that's, you run a risk of melting them if you microwave too long, so I don't recommend doing that, but I have done it. Okay, I'm just gonna do several of each, and then I'll show you after I do the little indentions on them. I'll show you what I do before I bake them. Now, when you put these in the oven, when you cook this pie crust, let me back up. The instructions on the box says to cook it for the pie crust. If you're doing a cream pie and you're baking your pie crust first, it says to cook it for 10 to 12 minutes on 450. If you're doing a fruit pie or a custard, you either don't want to bake the pie crust at all, or you just want to pre-bake it about 5 minutes, and that's going to depend on what kind of pie you're making. Some I pre-bake, some I do not. So it just really depends on your preference and on the pie that you're making. So you need a lot of these little leaves to, it takes about one pie crust to do enough leaves to go around if you're going to make it pretty. Now, if you just want to put, 3 or 4 on it, or put a big one in the middle, then it wouldn't take a whole one. But if you're going to do a row around and then do one other row, then you are going to need a whole one. So you can see how many I've got done here. I'm just going to separate these. There's another little one. That one. Okay, and then, okay, we'll just go ahead and do these. So this is kind of like a tool that you when you do royal frosting or royal icing, you can pull it down and do zigzags in it. But this is called a scribe, and I'm just going to make an indent in it and make it look like it's veins and the leaves. You don't want to go all the way through it, because if you do, it's gonna break. And it doesn't take long at all to cook these. That's another thing that you do have to watch when you're making these. I would say cook them on, because they are very little. Cook them on no higher than 400, and I'd set the timer for 5 minutes. Check them, and if they're not done, you do not want them burnt around the edges. Then cook them another couple of minutes or so, because we're gonna put butter on them, and we're also gonna sprinkle sugar on them, and that will burn real easy. So you just want to be careful. This is like anything when you're baking or doing anything. It takes time and a little bit of patience. And I'm by this like I am by music. I could sit and do this all day long. This is totally my element because I enjoy doing it. But if you got hubby hollering for lunch or supper, or the kids needing help with their homework or something, don't start this project, because you're going to need to devote your full attention to this. And if you go to bakeries and you see how things are fixed up real fancy and pretty, of course they have equipment that makes their stuff go faster than if you were doing it yourself at home. But just make sure that you allow enough time. And it's like anything, if you want to do something that's going to look nice, it's going to take you some time. And these don't have to be perfect. I'm not even centering all of them. I'm just making some marks in them because I want them to look a little bit natural. So this, I never seen my Molly or Mama do anything like this, but they did do the lattice on the top of pies, and they fixed a real pretty fluted edge around them. They were very good about doing that. If you ever pick up leaves out of the yard, which we have lots of leaves in our yard because we have lots of trees, you're going to notice that they're different. It's nature. They're all different. So you want to make these look natural. And you can also do these out of cookie dough, but I really prefer to use the pie crust because it's the same consistency of your pie. And we're going to sweeten it up just a little because we're going to brush it with melted butter and then put some sugar on the top. So it's gonna be more than just pie dough, but it's still the same consistency, if that makes sense. Okay. My little pies are smelling really, really good. And there's also molds that you can put, like fondant, or I've never actually used pie dough in the molds. I'm sure it would work, but I've never used it because I usually try to use that for fondant. Because of course you're not baking fondant, you're putting it for decorations on your cakes or cookies or whatever you're using. But you can see that's here. I've got, let's see, how many have I got? It's a dozen. 14, 16, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So I've got about a little over 40 here, and I'm going to use my bench scraper and just put them on my baking sheet to get them out of the way, and then I'm going to show you a couple of more how you can do. I really wanted my pies to be done. I don't know if they will or not, but hopefully they will, so I can show you. Now when you bake these, you just want to let them set out and cool. And then as soon as your pie comes out of the oven, I'm not talking very loud. Mike says I have a high voice and a low voice. And it seems like today I'm not talking very loud. I hope y'all can hear me. We're going to get these covered with some butter and sugar. And I've got room to put some more. So I'll just wait until I get the rest of them done. before I bake these. So, oh, that pie smells so good. So yesterday, I'd asked Mike the other day, would he go with me shopping so we could get all the little kids' presents. And we have 20, I think it's 22 little kids. And, well, I say 22 little kids, 4 of them are teenagers. So, and 2 of them aren't born yet. So, what does that make? 4, 6, 22. That makes what, 14 little kids we got? I may have not counted right. But anyway, I told him he didn't have to go, but if he wanted to go, I would really like for him to go and help me because, now you see how easy that unrolled because it's at room temperature. So he said he would, and first thing we did was we went to Dollar General in Jefferson because we figured we may as well start out at home and see what we can get there. I had the list. I gave him the list for the boys and me the list for the girls. And the only reason I did that is just so we could kind of divide and conquer. And I had the ages on each one of them. And so we get in Dollar General, and there's a sign up that said if you spend $75 at one time, you get 25 on toys. You get 25% off. Well, that was really a good deal. That was almost $19 off of $75. So I said, well, that won't be no problem. So we got all the toys at Dollar General, the ones that I hadn't already bought. Now this is a snowflake here, and let's see here. You can't really see this. You can't really tell, but I'm going to make some to go just right that will cover the whole pie. And of course, snowflakes are usually for Christmas, but I wanted to show y'all how this is going to be to put a snowflake pie crust on top of the pie when it's done. So I'm going to do a few of these. So Mike got them in the car, and then we went on to Marshall, and we stopped at Walmart first, and I didn't cut that one all the way down, so I'm going to just do another one. You want to just mash good so you get it cut all the way through. And this is not a stainless cutter. It's a plastic cutter, so it doesn't cut quite as well. But you can take your little tool and get those little things out. I just love have a little tool set that I have all my little decorating stuff in. So we went in Walmart and got what we needed to get, or we thought we did, and as we were checking out, almost finished checking out, there was a gift that I forgot. And of course it was one that I didn't have on the list, so I forgot it. So Mike said, well, I'll go put this in the car and you go to that department and I'll come back in. So he did, and came back in, and we found the gift that we needed and a couple other things. Of course, you know, you always find something else besides what you're looking for. And we went back to the lawn and garden to check out because we were on that end, and that's where the car was parked. So I paid cash at at Dollar General, and I paid cash at no, I didn't pay cash at the first time in Walmart. But anyway, I was paying cash and using my debit card for some. So when we got in the car, we had to drive over to the next little stop, which was right close to Walmart, to run into Dollar Tree to get a couple of things in there. Mike wanted to get a couple of little stockings. And but while we were walking in, I said, I didn't get my change. And I thought I had given the cashier a $100 bill. So Mike said, oh, it's in your purse. I said, I know how much money I've got, and I know how much was in here, and I did not get my change. And I picked up the receipt, and that's usually where my change is. I'll put it in my side pocket in my purse. And all that was in there was what I had just, the other bill that I had broke. So he said, Linda, you got to have it. It's got to be in your purse. I know that cashier, she's very honest. And I said, I don't think she took it. That didn't even cross my mind. I just probably walked out and left it. I have a point, I promise. We had a couple of funny moments yesterday, and this was one of them. So I looked at the receipt. I'm on the phone waiting on them to answer, and I looked at the receipt, and I had paid for that with my debit card. I felt like an idiot. I said, well, I sure am glad I didn't get them on the phone. So anyway, that was one of our funnies yesterday. And then we went to Kroger. We only went to 3 or 4 places, and we went to Kroger, and we had to get some stuff in there. And so when we got home, then we went and picked up some Popeyes. And when we got home and we got everything in, I always come in and Mike brings all the stuff in out of the car. He's always done that for me. Or if he's home and I come in, well, he goes and empties the car and gets everything out. And he came in here and he said, Linda, he said, all those toys are gone. He said, they're not in the car. He said, somebody broke in our car and stole those toys. But he couldn't hardly keep a straight face. And we normally, if he's driving, we normally will go in his car. Well, yesterday we went in mine. And he had opened the trunk of his car looking for those toys, and it was empty. It was so funny. So we both had a little aha moment yesterday with a little mishaps. And I was telling a friend of mine last night, I said, you know, as long as you can laugh at yourself when you do something like that, I think it's okay. You know, there may be a day that you can't laugh at yourself. You may be having a bad day and you can't. But if you can laugh at yourself, well, then you're doing okay. Okay, my buzzer's going off, so let me check my pies. Oh, they are bubbling over. And I'm going to move the thing here and see if you can see them. I filled them really full, but that's okay. They are going to be delicious. Let me see if I can pull this out and see if I think the crust is done. Ouch, that's hot. I think they're done. Now, I can't take them out yet because they're too hot, but I'm going to go ahead and get these, get my things, get some butter on them and some sugar, and we'll get them in the oven. I'll show you how I do that. And I'm probably going to have to post pictures after. Let me get a few more of these cut. I'm doing my talking here instead of doing what I needed to do. So, I won't do any more of those. I will get this out of the way and get my butter, because I want y'all to see how I fix them. I think I'm going to try to just slide this other mat on top over here. I've got lots more baking to do, so I don't want to put this up, and that's why I'm trying to just move this around a little bit, because I'm going to make some sweet potato pies and some pecan pies for the day's over. Scraps. Get my straps here. Now, I'm sure there's some of you that would re-roll that, and I imagine my sister would too, but I'm not going to. I'm going to just chalk that one up. Okay, so I've got a stick of melted butter here, and it is salted. And I'm going to brush the tops, and I've got 2 different kinds of sugar that I'm going to use. This is just a sanding sugar. It's Wilton. It's kind of coarse, you can tell. It's sparkly, and I really like that because it's sparkly. And then this is a raw sugar. I think it's called Demerara sugar or cane sugar, and it's kind of a golden color. So I'm going to use some of both just so it won't all be the same. If you wanted to add color to it, you could do that too. But I'm not adding color to any of this. I'm just going to brush these. Now I've got a piece of parchment sheet on my baking sheet so it doesn't get my pan all yucky. And I'm putting quite a bit of butter on here because I'm going to sprinkle it with sugar, and I want to make sure that there's enough butter on here to hold the sugar. This is going to crisp them up real good. I got just a little bit too much on that one. And my parchment sheets, you can buy it by the roll, and I keep it by the roll. But, you know, when you're baking a lot and you have a lot of different things you're doing, and you bakers know what I'm talking about, it's just so much easier if you've got these pre-cut sheets. And like for the cakes, you know, the rounds and the ones that go around the edges, it's to me, it's just so easy to have that. So I'm just gonna take my sprinkle, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it. Doesn't matter if you don't get it all on the snowflake and it gets on the parchment. That's the good thing about the parchment. You don't have to worry about it, because if it burns, it's gonna burn on the parchment. It's not gonna burn on your pan. So this is the cane sugar, and I'm just sprinkling some of this on here. Now I've got all kinds of different colored sugars in there. I've got glitters. I've got all kinds of different dust and colors. But with this, with the pie, this is what I like on them. You could actually do your regular sugar, but it's because it's finer. This coarse sugar really works better. And you can buy this at Walmart. I've had this for a while. It's probably, I don't even know how much it is now, but I know it's more expensive than it was when I bought it. But if you don't want to go big and get this, just pick up one of these. They're probably a couple of dollars or so, so they're not real bad. And again, they may be more than that because it's been a while since I bought that. But and that's usually around the aisle where the Christmas, like, you know, the Christmas stuff, like plates and the sprinkles and stuff like that, that's usually in that aisle is where you're going to find that at. And I'm going to put these in the oven for about 5 minutes and get these baked. Okay, I'm going to set my timer on 5 minutes. And then I'm going to get the little pies over here and see if I can get these out. Y'all bear with me. I like stuff really pretty, but I also like rustic. And this is going to be a rustic pie. Now little mini pies, once I get the little tops out of the oven, I'm going to show you, I'm going to put a snowflake on these and then some other leaves on the other. And I'm going to show you how cute it is. This is my oldest offset spatula. It's a Wilton, and it is, I need my other pan over here. I'm going to tear these up, so yeah, they're done. As a rule, this is the one that I reach for because I just like it. I've had it for so long, and it's just my favorite little offset. And we have them at Pampered Chef, but I like this one the best, and you can't even buy this particular one anymore. Okay. Let's see if we can, I'm going to cover that up. I don't like working over something that I'm going to use, so I'll just cover that up there. Okay, so let's see if I can get this out without tearing it up. Isn't that cute? Now, when you get your little pies done, you want to be very careful because you worked hard and you don't want to tear up what you worked hard to create. So you could probably set these on a rack to let them finish cooling. That's probably what I should have done, is got a rack instead of this baking pan, because it'll definitely cool faster. Now, I know a lot of people like homemade whipped cream on their pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie. And I love homemade whipped cream, but I would much rather have another piece of crust on it than whipped cream. That's just what I like. These are really, really cute. And you might not know it, but this is really a big serving of pie. And what I like about it is because, you know, you don't have to worry about, you know, cutting the pies. You just put these on a pretty little tray and people can get what they want. You know, if a husband and wife wants to share one, they don't want the whole thing, or maybe somebody that's in your family that's standing in line and they want a taste of several desserts, they can take one of these and cut it in halves or fourths and let somebody else get a taste of it too. Whoops, now that one's a little bit soft. I'm going to leave that one in the pan. It's not quite cool enough to take out. These actually are hot, so I think I'm going to leave these last two in here. I can touch that. That's cool enough for me to touch. And I'm going to check on my... They're not done yet. This is something else that I wanted to show you. This is a cookie press, and I just picked this one up at TJ Maxx. You never know what you're going to find in TJ Maxx, like other discount stores, but they had this yesterday. This is just plastic, but it came with several different little cookie press emblems, snowflake flowers, a heart. I may be showing them a double heart, and I've got one in here that's kind of a swirled flower. So I'm going to bring my pie crust back over here. Whoops. Trying to pick up two things at once. Okay. All right, let me check my pie, my little decorations. They're not quite done, so I'm going to set another timer. And I'm going to do one of these and show you. Now, it's a cookie press, and I've never actually done, I haven't used this, I just bought it. So you press down on it, and it cuts, well, it's supposed to cut. That didn't cut very well. Maybe you need to twist it. Okay, now that came off. But look how cute. And these are very inexpensive. This was only $5. And I have other cookie presses, but I just thought that was real cute. And I saw it, and I said, well, you know what? I got it. So you put it, the way you do it, you put it in there, you turn it counterclockwise, and it locks into place. So, I'm going to bake some of these too. Aren't they pretty? I just like, you know, sometimes I like for things to be a little bit different. There's so many different ways that you can dress up a pie that's not just, I'm going to use another one, that's not just a lattice or something. I told y'all I was going to show y'all how to do a lattice. But this tool right here, it's an old tool, and it's Wilton. And it's a cutter that... I'll turn this over so that indentation is not on there. This gives you, and there's several different wheels to this. There's a wide one. There's one that's got some decoration on it, embossment. But this gives you a crust that's all the same width. Now it will roll up on your wheel, so you have to just kind of scooch it off. So if you want something the same width and you want it to be completely even, then you can use this. You can also use a pasta cutter. If you have a pasta cutter, which I do back there, and I've used it for fondant and for different things, that didn't quite cut all the way through there. But you can, let's see if I can pull this apart. You can do a braid with this to put around your pie crust. You know, just do a braid. It's been a long time since I've braided hair. And you could put this real pretty around the top of your pie crust. Or if you're doing the lattice, lattice is not hard. It just takes time to work with it. And if you are putting lattice over a hot filling, get ready for your pie crust to tear, because it's this has got Crisco in it, and when you put something hot in it, it's going to melt it. So if you're doing a lattice, you want to lay out a couple of strips, and then you want to start on the edge, and then you pull this back, and your one goes under, one goes up, and then you put your next one on, and the same thing, and you go all the way over across. And maybe one of these days when I'm doing a whole pie, I will show this complete, but that's basically how you do it. It's just under and up, and you do that all the way across, and when you get through, you have a really pretty lattice pie. And my Molly and my great aunt, St. Pearl and Aunt Sylvia, and Aunt Frances, they used to make the most beautiful pies. They didn't have all this fancy equipment. They did it with their hands and probably a knife or a case knife or whatever they had there. That's what they did it with. Okay, my buzzer's going off. And these are not quite ready. Actually, I've got the oven. I think I'm going to turn the oven up to 400 and just bake these for another 2 or 3 minutes. I've actually baked these decorations longer than I normally would because I had the oven on 375, and that's what I cook the pies on. So if you're cooking it at 450, it's only going to take about 4 or 5 minutes to do it. So keep that in mind when you're cooking these little decorations, because the last thing you want to do is take all this time to do this and then burn your little leaves. You want to watch them very, very closely. And I'm going to move this, and I'm going to bring the pies back over here. You see how rustic and pretty they look? I just love the way that hangs over the side like that. I wouldn't trim that at all because I think that just looks so pretty and rustic. And I think it looks like, you know, something that my grandmother would have made. And not that I would be anywhere near the baker that she was, but that's what it reminds me of. So as soon as those get out of the oven, then I'm going to show you and put a little one of those some of the decorations on top and show y'all. I am going to be making a pecan pie. There's several more things that I plan to make and do it on video. I've done pecan pies before, but I'm going to do one again, and I'm probably going to do some of the little ones too, because I'm going to be taking a box of these to some of our friends here local. And so I'm going to make sweet potato pies, the little bitty ones, and I'm going to make some pecan pies, and I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a while, and I'm going to candy some walnuts, And I think those would be really pretty on the top of one of those sweet potato pies, which I don't put nuts in sweet potato pies, but I'm going to try this. I think it would give it a nice crunch. I love texture. I always, when I'm eating something, I like to have some kind of a crunch with it. I've never been a big fan of puddings or custards unless it's got cookies or some kind of a crunch like I love sweet potato pie. I mean, that's an exception. I love sweet potato pie. But if you got those fancy little leaves on the top of it, that's another added crunch, which is another layer of texture. So I guess everybody likes things different, but that's just how I like. And I guess I grew up probably being a pretty picky eater for the time that I grew up in, because there were things that I wouldn't eat. But I do like, there are certain things that I do really, really like, and that's sweet potato pie is one of them. I was trying to think what else happened yesterday that was so funny. It seemed like all day something was happening that was funny. Let me check my little leaves here. Okay, they're cooking better, but they're still not done. This time of year, and this is not funny, but this time of year, you know, so many people are excited. They're out shopping. You know, they have the Christmas holiday spirit, and there are people that are homeless. There are people that have lost loved ones. There are people that are providers for people that are sick, and they don't get a break. They are 24-hour, 7 days a week caregiver for that person, and those people need lifted up. And those are the people that, if you know someone like that, do something for them if you're local. If you're not, you know, send them a card, send them something in the mail, just a sweet little unexpected gift. Doesn't have to be much, and it doesn't even have to be a gift. It can be a call or a text. I say this all the time. You know, it doesn't always take money to do something to lift somebody's spirits. I think people have that mentality, and since this is the month of Thanksgiving, I think about it a lot. You know, you can do things that are actually don't cost a dime, but that are priceless to somebody. We had somebody yesterday when we got out of the car at Walmart approach us for, you know, said they were homeless, and so I gave them some money, and then I thought about our oldest brother Charles. Charles and Edward both they're so good to notice people that they feel just like our mom and daddy was, that they feel like might need something. And this one time Charles, and I don't know where he was at, I don't remember, but somebody was sitting outside of a store and asked for some money, and Charles reached in his pocket and gave him, you know, a nice bill. And somebody told him that was with him, you know what he's going to do with that. You know, he's going to go right next door to the liquor store, or go down the street to the liquor store and go and buy a pint of whiskey or something, or whatever it is they buy, I don't know. But Charles said what he does with it is up to him and God. I gave it to him for food because that's what he asked me. He was hungry and he wanted some money for food, and that's what I gave it to him for. If he goes and does something else with it, that's on him, it's not on me. And then I thought about a time that I was working, when I was working in the field and traveling. I was in Bakersfield, California, and most of the time when I bought gas, I used a credit card, and I don't even know why that this particular time I was going to pay cash, but for some reason I was going to pay cash. And so I pulled up at the pump, and I ran in and gave the cashier some money and told her I wanted to fill up. And there was a man sitting outside the door, like they, you know, like sometimes people will do, and he asked me to buy him a Dr. Pepper, or asked me for some money. And I said no thank you or something, and I went on back to the car, and I realized that women have to be careful, especially women, when someone is asking them for money, because, you know, you could get robbed easily or something, and I'm very well aware of that. But I went back out, got my car, filled up my car, and what do you know, it didn't hold all the money. So I had to walk in again, and he asked me again, you know, could you give me some money? And I said, no, thank you. And I went in and got my change. When I come out, he asked me the third time. And he said, would you just buy me a Dr. Pepper? So I went in the store and I bought a 1 liter, the big Dr. Pepper. It was really a hot day. And if y'all have ever been to Bakersfield, I think we have some followers from there. I know we have some followers from around there. And I think from Bakersfield too. But I gave him the Dr. Pepper and he thanked me for it. And I did not say anything. I was a little bit irritated. I walked back to my car and I felt about this high. And I said, I owe that man an apology. I bought him a Dr. Pepper, but I did not do it cheerfully. I was irritated. And I was asked for money all the time when I was on the road, constantly. And sometimes I would give and sometimes I wouldn't. But I felt like the biggest little bag of dirt that I have ever known. I got out of my car, walked back to that guy, and I told him that I was very sorry that I did not say, when he said thank you, that I did not tell him you're welcome, and I asked him to please forgive me. And it just made me feel so bad because I gave him, but I did not. And the Bible says you're blessed, a cheerful giver. And I every time since then, if I ever give money to any, and that was an isolated incident, it wasn't something, that's not who I am, but it really made me think, if you're going to give something, do it cheerfully. If you're not, don't be ugly about it. Just don't be ugly about it. Okay, let me check my leaves. Okay. They're done. Now you see when I turned that oven up, these cooked really, really fast. So I just didn't have the oven quite high enough. So what I'm going to do, another one of my little favorite tools. This is part of a cheese set that I bought years ago. I have used this little, I call it a spatula. It's not, it's part of a cheese set, but I have used this probably more than any spatula I've ever used. Okay, so you'll see my little snowflakes are done. And I'm just going to place them right in the center of my pies. And then I'm going to do, and I'll show y'all this. I guess I've got this turned around wrong, so y'all can't really even see me doing this. I don't have enough room here, I guess. Or I don't have it arranged right. Maybe that's it. Okay. So now I'm going to do some, you can see I got some of those over there too brown. I won't use those. But I'm going to do some little leaves on here. And I will alternate a maple leaf with some of the other leaves. Get my real tiny spatula here. Whoops, these are hot. Some of these just got a little bit too brown to use. So you can take just a simple little pie like this mincemeat pie, and you can dress it up. Those are hot. Probably shouldn't be picking them up with my hand. All right. You see those ones that are dark there? I won't use those. I'll get rid of those and bake some more. See how pretty? Something just as simple as a little cutout makes the pie look so pretty. Now I've got different kinds of containers. I bought these at Home Goods the other day, and of course I have bakery boxes left over from back in the day, but I bought these because I didn't want to just set these pies down in a bakery box, and I didn't want them to, you know, to slide. So I bought these little, and these are, you actually can bake in these. You get these at discount stores like TJ Maxx, Home Goods, oh, what is another one? Tuesday Morning. These came from Home Goods, and they only had 2 packages, so you know I had to buy them both. But you actually can bake a little cake in these. They've kind of got like a lining, like a, you know, I don't know, it's not parchment, but it's some kind of lining. So what I'm going to do is, when I deliver these to the people that I'm taking them to, I'm going to put these in these little cups and put them in the box. Isn't that cute? Now these cups are a little bit bigger than these pies, but it'll still keep them from being right in the box. And then if you have fancy containers that you put your stuff in, that you, when you got your meal out and your desserts, we usually do a dessert table or dessert buffet or whatever, and have, you know, have real pretty little containers. So I hadn't unwrapped them yet, and it's not like I needed them, because I didn't, and I know that, and I know I didn't have to have them, but they had 3 the other day at TJ Maxx that I just loved all 3 of them, so I bought them all. And I'm going to, after these cool, I'm going to put them on this 2-tiered tray and take a picture, and I'll post it on here so y'all can see them. But I've got more pies to make, and I've got more little decorations to make. I hope y'all have enjoyed this, and I hope it's not something that y'all think, well, I already knew how to do that. I thought she's going to show us something different, but maybe some of you learned something, and thank you very much for joining me. And I may be back on later on this afternoon. I may be on sometimes tomorrow. The Buckeyes play, but I believe they play tomorrow afternoon. So that means I would be able to do something in the morning. I wouldn't be able to go live with Mike watching the game, because he gets into it. He hollers and carries on like, I guess, football fans do. But it's kind of funny sometimes. But anyway, thank you again. I hope everyone has a wonderful Friday, a great weekend. And I will do my best to post the event or create the event so y'all will know that I'm going to be on live. I know after today, Mary's probably going to need the weekend to rest, because she's worked like a dog all week on her Ladies Bazaar and everything else that she does. So thank you again for watching. Thank you, Carla, for monitoring behind the scenes for me. And I think little Linda is working at home today. So I love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Please share and like our page, and share us with your friends. I'll see y'all next time, and be sure to count your blessings. This is a Thanksgiving month, and we should always be thankful, but especially this time of year. I love y'all. Bye-bye.